Hey guys, this is day 6. Okay, we're going to talk about some vocab terms and notation related to angle measures. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to go through the notes parts of this packet, and we're going to leave the practice for in class work. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as short as possible for you guys at home. So the first definition is a ray. So a part of a line that consists of a point on the line, so an end point, and all the points on one side of the endpoint. So that's a confusing definition, but a ray just means I have an endpoint and then a line pointing in the other direction. Okay. Now, the notation for this, maybe I have a point here, A, and another point here, B, on the line. I would call this ray AB, right? And I'm just going to draw one arrow. So you remember our lines, right? Line AB would have 2 arrows. Segment AB would have no arrows, but a ray would have 1 arrow. Okay. Now, it's important when you think about the direction. Okay. So I'm going from A to B, the arrow to the left. So that's the same way I'm going to notate it on my paper. If I labeled this line BA, okay, I would put my arrow the other direction because the arrow goes towards B. Okay. Another term is called opposite rays. Okay. They are 2 collinear rays with the same endpoint. So for instance, I have an endpoint here, let's call it Q. Okay. And I have a ray going to the right this way and another ray going to the left this way. So those would be opposite rays. We would have a Q, right, pointed towards the left, and QB pointed towards the right. Okay. I'm going to leave these problems for in class and skip ahead to another definition. You guys have obviously, I hope, heard of the word angle before, okay? But basically, it is the union, or kind of, you could think of that as combination, right? We're putting together 2 rays. So I'm going to have an end point, and I have a ray going one direction, a ray going another, right? What they form is the angle. Okay, there's different ways to notate an angle, right? Sometimes you will see a number. Oops, let me make that a little more clear. Sometimes you will see a number in the little angle arc, right? So we could call this angle 1. Or if there's 3 points on an angle, you would notate this as angle A, B, C, where the middle letter is the vertex. This is the vertex, okay? So anytime I use the word vertex, you're thinking about that middle point on your angle that your 2 rays come off of. Okay. So I'm going to leave questions 1, 2, 3 for you guys and just quick review the types of angles. So most of these you guys should know. I have a right angle. Okay. So it looks like this. Okay. That little box means it's a right angle and it's equal to 90 degrees. Okay, we should know that already, but just a little review. A straight angle would be if my vertex of my angle is just on a straight line, right? And this would equal 180 degrees, right? My angle would go like this. An acute angle looks like this, okay? We would have, let's say we call this angle 1, the measure of angle 1. So this is this symbol for measure. Okay, so the measure of angle 1 is less than 90 degrees. Okay, an obtuse angle here, okay, let's call this angle 2. In an obtuse angle, the measure of angle 2 has to be greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so there are our 4 types of angles. Now, when we talk about angles, right, something that we might see are congruent angles, so angles that have the same measure. So for instance, if angle B looks like this, right, and A might be 75 degrees, then angle B would have to be 75 degrees. Okay, I would say angle A is congruent to angle B, right? That means they have the same measure. Okay, that should be pretty self-explanatory. And then an angle bisector. So a ray whose endpoint is the vertex of the angle. So let's think about that. There's a diagram below, right? So I'm going to have a ray whose vertex is that of the angle, and it divides the angle into two congruent angles. So if I drew a ray out of that vertex here, the part on the bottom here, maybe this is 25 degrees, right? Has to be equal to the top of 25 degrees. Okay, it splits my angle in half, right? So what would we conclude from this? Well, if, right, we called this ray AX, and if it bisects this angle, then I would conclude, right, angle, and I'm going to be careful with the naming here, right? This is angle BAX, okay? And if I have a point here, C, my angle here, oops, let me draw a better line there. My angle here is going to be CAX. So BAX is congruent to angle CAX. Now, we could have named those, right? This is the same thing. If I said angle XAB, right? It doesn't matter which order you put it in as long as that A or your vertex of the angle is in the middle. That has to be the middle letter. Okay. Now, the rest of this is just practice. So as long as you guys got those notes down, we will work on the rest in class. Thanks.